G'day everyone, welcome to the Squirrel Nest. Big news happened in the Magic Arena space last Thursday with the stream unveiling how the economy is likely to work and how players can earn rewards, etc, etc. Upfront disclaimer, I am in the Magic Arena beta test program and none of the information contained in this video will be through that. All the information in this video is just from that stream, which will be linked in the description below, and you can feel free to watch that. This is a summation of their stream only. With that out of the way, let's get into the news. What we'll be doing today is going through what they will have, what they've currently got, what they're working on, and where it may land. So we'll go through drafting, the reward system, pack openings, the vault, their way of dusting, if you've ever played Hearthstone, events, and what happens when you first start with Arena. First up, we'll get into what everyone wants to do, which is pack openings. There's two types of packs in Arena. There will be a booster pack, which is just like opening a pack of cards, and a draft pack, which is specifically used for drafting. The first one being the booster pack. The booster packs in Arena are only actually 8 cards, where in normal booster packs in paper they're 15, including the land. There'll be 8 cards with 1 rare or mythic, 2 uncommons, and 5 uncommons. And there is something called wildcards, which we'll get into just in a little bit. They're a little bit more complicated. And then the draft pack will be a normal pack of MTG cards, which are exclusively used for drafting. I assume you need to buy 3 of them to enter into a draft. And again, prices are unknown for that. In the booster packs, there will be things called wildcards, and they will take up one of your slots, either a rare or mythic, an uncommon, or a common. And what you can do with wildcards is trade them in for any rare or mythic, or any uncommon or any common, depending on the type of wildcard. So that was their way of ensuring that it's faster to get your play sets of cards rather than 100% random cards in packs. Each time you open a booster pack or a draft pack, it will add a vault progress reward, which we'll get into in the vault section, but that's a way of them rewarding you for buying packs. And that's pretty much it about packs. Packs are pretty simple. We'll go straight into the vault next, which is their way of allowing you to essentially craft cards. Although they don't want to use the word crafting, it's essentially crafting. You can't deconstruct any cards you've opened or drafted for the vault, but what happens is once you've got a play set of cards, should you open the 5th card or 6th card or however many cards beyond the 4th, they essentially vanish into the vault, and you have what will probably be a progress meter to say when your vault is full, and then opening the vault will give you rewards. So currently they are just giving out wild cards in the beta. This is all on the stream that MTG have got out, and look in the description below for a link to the official stream. This is just more of a succinct version. Vault meter gets filled up when you open packs, as stated before. You'll get vault progress when you win a tournament, and at the moment, as I said, wildcards are the only thing you can get. They will have other things, I think, like tournament tokens, they said, and probably other things that would be kind of random. I don't know exactly how random it is at the moment. I don't think they're really quite clear on what the vault progress will do. Probably one of the most controversial subjects I've seen so far will be drafting. They will be keeper drafts. So what keeper drafts mean are exactly as if you go down to an LGS, you will get your cards out of the packs, you'll pick one, pass it to the next person, And at the end of the draft, and obviously after your games, you will keep those cards. They will not go back into the ether and disappear forever. They will go into your collection and you get to keep them. Obviously, if you draft something you have more than 4 of, or you already have 4 of, that will go into the vault and disappear, but they will be keepers. There are benefits and negatives to this type of thing. I think a lot of people that I've seen talk so far were looking for phantom drafts. The benefits of keeper drafts, and the only one I can think of at the moment, is if you get a sweet card that you don't already own, you get to keep it. And I can't think of any other benefits to the player of that. But there are a lot of negatives that I can come across. And I don't want to sound negative to this because drafting's the biggest feature that I'm looking forward to. But if they're a keeper draft, they're obviously going to be costlier. Because they're going to be giving away cards that you draft, they obviously have to cost more. And that's just the fundamental way of things work. On MTGO, if you phantom draft, it costs X amount. If you do a keeper draft on MTGO, they cost more because you've got value in that. But the problem with this is there is no value in the cards. Once you have them, you can't sell them to anyone. You can't trade them to anyone. You can't do anything with them. So all they do is go to your collection and then allow you to fill up your vault faster. So a lot of people have found that really obnoxious and annoying. I think anyone who's intending on playing this a fair bit, especially streamers, which I'm hoping to do, well, I will be doing, it's just going to make their lives more costlier, and there's no additional benefits to them to do that, because if you're going to be drafting and you don't care about constructed, you don't care about the cards, what happened to them afterwards. And then if you do care about constructed, you're probably going to go purchase a whole bunch of packs and have the cards anyway. And you're not going to rely on drafting to get the cards. Also, it kind of imbalances the way you draft and the way especially new people draft. If you've got a green-blue deck, in this case, let's say a Merfolk deck, and your rare is a Tetzimok, the Elder Dragon, it doesn't really matter that you're not in those colors and you can't splash those colors. You're going to rare draft it just so you have it in your collection, which diminishes the card pool at the table. So the negatives here, and a lot of what I can see, far outweigh the benefits. The only benefit that I can really see is MTG, Magic and Wizards make more money. And although that's good for the game because they can reinvest that money into it, I think it's a bad play experience, and it's certainly going to restrict the amount of players that are in at any one time drafting. And obviously the bigger environment that you have for drafts, the faster your leagues fill up, the faster games get produced, and the drafting pods kick off. The reward system. They were kind of ambiguous as in what you will kind of end up with, but they were pretty specific that they'll be front loaded. So if you only manage to win 1 or 2 games a day because you only come on for say 40 minutes, you will get the vast majority of what you could win if you sat in a day grinding the whole day. But thankfully they've also thought about what happens if you're only available 1 day a week to play, or 2 days a week to play. And so what there are they've got your daily tasks, which will stack up. And if you played Magic Duels, you'll understand that there's 3. You can stack up 3 of your daily tasks, and you can refresh them to swap them around. So if your daily task is to say play 10 forests, and you don't like that because you've got a blue-black deck, you can swap that around and maybe get something a little more friendly, which may be cast 10 blue spells, which is something you'll do in a couple of games. And then each of the tasks, depending on how they are, the difficulty level of each of the tasks, they will give you an award anywhere between 200 and 500 gold or something like that. It's a random amount for the moment, and those amounts don't mean anything because there's no economy in place outside of beta where it's set in stone. And the beta, they've clearly said whatever is in beta may not necessarily mean it's going to be in the final product. And we can't talk about what's in the beta, so I won't say anything further on that. they will award you for the first 30 wins on your day. So if you sit down for a day and win 30 times, you'll get the maximum amount of prizes for that one particular day. And then what they also done, and which I think is a really good way of looking at it, is a weekly bonus as well. So you've got a tier. So if you win one game, it might be a daily one. You win 5 games on a day, that'll boost itself up to be a 5 win for the week as well. So if after 10 wins for the week, you may get a mythic card. You don't have to win all those on one day. You can win 2 matches for 5 days, and that way you don't have to sit down and dedicate hours and hours of your life on any one particular day to get the maximum wins and the maximum free rewards out of the system. And the weekly bonuses were pretty good by the sounds of things. They're saying they're mythics and rares and a little bit more pricier, and I use the pricier word subjectively, cards. So we'll see how that comes out. And then obviously you can win wild cards, because a mythic, in the place of a mythic, say if there's 10 mythics in the system, a wild card would be the 11th mythic that you can also win. And then the wild cards get traded in for any other mythic in the game that you don't currently have. The other thing they touched on, and this is really up in the air, is the events. They're looking for very clear player feedback on events, but as everyone knows, it'll be kicking off with standard and draft in. But with the cards that are left over once they've rotated from standard, they'll look at doing events with them. So one of the things they said is the 50 least percentile used cards would maybe create an event around those cards, and you could only enter the event with a constructed deck with the 50, like the lowest 50 percentile of cards in the system. They also touched on cubes. They might build in cubes in there, which for the moment you would assume wouldn't be like the legacy cube in MTGO or the modern cube in MTGO, as those formats aren't supported. There'd be cubes built around probably block constructed when blocks rotate. So let's look into the future. Ixalan or Aether Revolt have rotated. They may create an Aether Revolt cube, and you can draft Aether Revolt, or not Aether Revolt, the Kaladesh block cube. And they will be open to all types of feedback. They also talked about Pauper type events, but they left it as a very dynamic and very fluidic system that they'll have for the events. So they can just put one up and then take it down and then put up a different one and have them very, very fluid and dynamic and change them as needed. So that's really exciting. That's actually probably the most exciting news they gave us in this, is they're definitely thinking about the cards that rotate, and they're thinking about very, very fun things that are super popular. I know I like cube. I built my own cube, and I know a lot of other people that will have done that. So if they can build these into it and they can make them affordable and fun, they've really got this event system nailed. The very last thing they touched on in the stream was the where do you start? So where does a player start when they first join Arena? And they're saying that when you start, they might have some sort of intro kind of to guide someone into the game, and then they'll give you some pre-con decks. And then the reward system for a new player will be like winning another pre-constructed deck. So you won't be just winning a card or a couple of cards. You'll win an entire deck based around probably one of the standard metas. It won't obviously be the top tier metas, but it might be a very watered down version of one of the decks. And then that'll allow you to kind of understand the mechanics of what's going on in the current meta. It'll give you a good pool of cards to start building with, and then they'll quickly add more and more cards with as you're winning decks themselves, not just a random rare or uncommon. And that'll teach new people how to build decks, what type of strategies involved. But we'll see how that plays out. I'm personally quite worried about where people start at in Arena. Magic's not exactly known for releasing a small amount of cards each year, where Hearthstone might release, say, 500 or 600, from what I've read on YouTube. from the comments on YouTube. I'm not going to sit there and say, oh, I've researched it, I have no interest in Hearthstone. Magic typically deliver around 1,000, maybe even more new cards each year. And if you need to get 4 of each of those, that means you're collecting 4,000 new cards each year. So that is very intimidating for someone coming into the game from scratch. Winning 4,000 cards so you can compete with a tier 1 deck. I understand that there will be tiers in competitiveness as well. So if you're a new player, you'll be on a different tier with someone that's playing a tier 1 deck, say, let's say a Teamer Energy deck. I know it just got banned, but there's been no Pro Tour to show us what the new tier 1 decks are going to be. So I'll use that as the example. And if you're coming in with your scrappy precon deck, you're not going to be paired up against someone that's playing something like that. But if you do want to get to that level and you've never played Arena before, but you have been playing at your local game store, the thought of getting 4,000 cards so you can start playing, or at least say 1,500 cards that you have to get very specifically to build up a deck, may be too much for people to overcome. And we'll have to really watch the space, depending on how much packs cost, how well the vault system works with the wildcards. It's probably it's personally my biggest concern when I have to start playing it. I want to produce standard competitive decks, content on them, and if I have to buy 1,000 packs to start the game, it pretty much costs me straight out of the game. That's what, 15, it's about 1,300 Australian dollars, which is a massive barrier to entry for almost anyone. So it'll be definitely a watch this space type of thing, but they haven't elaborated on that, so I don't want to put them down for it at the moment. It's just something I'm very conscious of. And that was it. They had a whole bunch of questions. Most of them I should have answered in this. The wild cards, I'll go back over it. So a wild card is a card you can win in place of something in that rarity slot. So in an 8-card pack, there is one rare or mythic rare. That one card could be a wild card, which you can then trade in for a rare or mythic. The 2 uncommon slots, one of those slots might be a wild card, which you can trade in for any uncommon. And then the common slot has 5 cards. One of those wild cards could be a wild card, and then you can trade it in for any common in the game. You don't get 6 commons if you get a wild card. It is in replace of what would be a slot in the common slot, which is even better because you can just pick the common that you want if you're trying to build the deck. If you have any questions, please write in the comments below and I'll answer them to the best of my abilities. I will reiterate, what I've presented here is only from their stream. I've not presented anything from what I know about the beta and playing the beta. That is against the NDA and I cannot reveal anything about that. So it's up to the next stream for Wizards of the Coast to present how things are going and the data they've collected from that. There is they've said they're collecting a lot of data, so it'll definitely be a watch this space. In the description below, I will link you to their stream and their channel so you can watch it for yourself. And if you have any questions, write it in the comments below for me. Hope this helps clear up everything with relation to the economy update for Magic: The Gathering Arena. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time. Later, mates.